Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us today for our regular live Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern show where you take your questions about U.S. immigration law for general educational purposes only, not intended as individual legal guidance. There's a lot going on in the immigration system, a lot of bad information, incorrect information. I'll talk about that. Just yesterday, I joined this one Facebook group where everyone had the information wrong on a travel ban issue. So I really want to get into this stuff to help fill people in, have a better understanding of the craziness. And unfortunately, some of the stuff there's no understanding, but be aware of the issues that exist and what we can worry about in the future happening to have, more of a conservative approach, but kind of watch out for the just the nuances that this immigration law is creating for us. So I'm waiting for some of our systems to come in, a little bit frozen here and there. But if you're watching on TikTok, you usually have 100 visitors at this point. We got like one. I'm not sure what's going on with the TikTok system. And our Instagram is freezing up too. But the best place to catch us is on YouTube, our live feed, and I'm able to answer the questions there better. So get our YouTube page, subscribe, and get notifications. It's JQK Law, or U.S. Immigration Talk is the name of our YouTube channel. We have a main channel and a clips channel, both of which can help you. But feel free to shout out your questions, and we'll see what we can do to answer them. If you're interested in a marriage green card, I'd recommend downloading the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. It's a 70-plus page about the fiancé visa, marriage visa, adjustment of status, consular processing, inadmissibility, the documents, the interviews, and a lot more. To download that, go to this website, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And if you're interested in citizenship, naturalization, you're a green card holder, you want to get citizenship, we have a special guide for that as well. Go to jqklaw.com/citizenship for that, jqklaw.com/citizenship. Hassan, good to see you. Thank you on Instagram. And thank you for joining as well on TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So Hassan asks, I have to submit a VAWA case last June and didn't get a receipt notice. And that's a main problem we're having. So we're not a law firm that handles a lot of VAWA cases. I have an existing client who is an investor who's doing a VAWA case right now. Actually, he's doing a U visa case. I'm sorry. But what we're seeing with U visas and VAWAs that get sent to, I think, the Vermont Service Center is they're not sending us the receipt notices. And it's there's no filing fee for these cases, so we don't get the check cash or the credit card charge to know that the case is moving forward. And so we get stuck in this place like, are they doing it? Are they not doing it? Taking 6 months, 9 months, sometimes even longer to get a receipt notice. So that's a big problem that's happening. And that's just it. So I'd recommend try to contact USCIS, write them a letter, call them, go on the online thing, just kind of push them and say, hey, listen, I think there's a special email address for VAWA even. Say, hey, I never got the receipt notice. Please, please, please give some sort of confirmation. Give me a receipt number or something so I know that, things are happening. And so that's going to be very important to do there just to get that doggone case number going. Okay. Sip here asks, hi, John, do you think it's possible for TPS for Iranians? I wish there would be, but the Trump administration is trying to kick out every Iranian it can right now. So unfortunately, I don't see the chance of TPS happening. No one's even talking about it. And just Trump administration in general doesn't like doing TPS. TPS is a thing called temporary protected status. This is when there's certain events that happen across the world where the U.S. government will say if you're inside the U.S., because of the dangerous situation happening in your home country, war, famine, disease, earthquake, and all this kind of stuff, you can stay here temporarily until we remove TPS, temporary protected status. But in the meantime, you're here lawfully and you get a work authorization if we approve it. So that's what TPS for Iran would be good because they're gone to war. They're going to go to war there. The country has water issues, money issues, all this kind of stuff. I'm not optimistic it will happen, but I wish it would. It'll help a lot of people out. Hassan asked, should I refile the VAWA case? We never got a receipt. I would try contacting the government, going through your congressperson to confirm they got it. Just do everything you can before refiling because refiling is just, sending another case. It's not, I don't know if it's worth it. But if you're reaching the deadline where it's an issue, then really look into refiling. But just got to hunt it down and contact them over and call them, all this kind of stuff to see what you could do. Well, Carl asks, hi, John, watching from Canada. Well, thanks for watching and saying where you're from. Based on your general experience, how long is an I-130 to get approved with USCIS, married U.S. citizen, and consular processing? The I-130 for a spouse of a U.S. citizen, typically 12 to 14 months, maybe 15 months is the average. We've seen it for the last couple of years, frankly. And we do a lot of Canadian cases. So that's like our primary case type, a Canadian getting married. So yeah, hopefully it won't go longer, but 12, 14, 15 months is the average. Lily asks, for Canadians, should we do fiance visa or cross the border with Canada citizenship and get married in the States? You can always get married in the United States, but there's issues involved, Lily. First of all, you have a Persian sounding name, Iranian sounding name, so they may not process your case. It might be subject to a hold, even though you're a Canadian citizen, if you're born in Iran or your fiance was born in Iran. That kind of stuff's happening. But the key issue is not where you get married, but it's where you file the case. Adjustment of status inside the U.S. or consular processing, as Von Carlo be. As you see, we have a lot of Canadian spouses. That's like our main case type. So you see a lot of Canadians contacting us. Or you wait in Canada for the I-130 petition to complete, then work with consular processing. That's the way the government wants you to do it. And they don't want you to enter with tourist visa status with the intent to do that. Okay, born in Kuwait, that's good. Now, Kuwait, I think, has another. It's quite. I don't think it's part of the 75 country ban. 75 country ban. But that's good. Now you have to see here. Okay, it's probably good. Okay, so let me see what country. 75 country ban list. Kuwait shouldn't be on that list, but let me double check. But you're Canadian, so you're dual citizen. You're probably not subject to it. But the government wants you to do consular processing, so that's what I have to recommend. You can't come with a tourist visa with the intent to stay here and file for adjustment of status. So that's the official story. Now again, people do come here, and okay, Kuwait is part of the 75 country ban list, so that creates a problem. Now there's a exception for dual nationals. I believe I have to read the rules again. So a lot's going to change in the year and a half, 2 years is going to take for you to get your embassy interview. Now the reason why I say you can't do adjustment of status is you have to enter the tourist visa, and the government, it says, tourist visas for visiting temporarily, not for staying permanently. And because of that, I can't recommend doing that. But there are cases where people are visiting, and then their boyfriend or girlfriend, and then they have a return trip. They're going back home, and then the boyfriend or girlfriend says, "Listen, I'm tired of being apart. Let's stay here. Let's have our life together." It's really human kind of thing. So it does happen, but I can't recommend somebody do that intentionally. That's not permitted. All right, let me make case back. Okay, so Olabayo asks, good evening. My I-751 is pending for 28 months. I returned back with my extension letter after an international trip. What can I do to fast track it? Do I need anything to do anything about it? No, 28 months, unfortunately, is like an average time. 2 to 3 years for the I-751 is normal. I don't think there's anything. You can sue the government. That's one thing. But if you've been married and living with the U.S. citizen since getting your green card, you should look into filing for citizenship once you get to like 33 months. So that's usually fast tracks. That's what we usually do. Lee says, but I can enter U.S. with my Canadian passport. Yeah, you can, but I just can't recommend someone adjust status, file for a green card inside the U.S. You can start the process for my I-130 to show your relationship is real, but eventually you have to go to the embassy, and it's going to take a while. I do recommend downloading our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. The website for that is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And on that site, you could is a 70-page guide that breaks down all the differences: the fiance visa, marriage visa, embassy processing, U.S. processing, all that kind of stuff. It really has a chart breaking down how the different things work, so it'll help you out. Khalid has age difference. My wife's 46 and I'm 23. How the officer sees this case? Well, I've gotten a case like that approved. It really depends on how they see you. So you know each other, how you met, how you look together, how well you are, what your documents are joined, Khalid. So you got to look at your whole story. It's just not like a number. Age is nothing but a number, as they say. So we got to look at like you as an individual and your wife as an individual, how you look like as a couple, and if there's tendencies towards fraud or not. But I get these cases approved. Just got to be a legitimate relationship, have the document together, know each other well, live together, that kind of stuff, and it should work fine. But we got to sit and talk about it. So I would say download my guide first, Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. You're welcome, Lily. And then on the other end, schedule a private consultation. Go to our website. Fees do apply for consultations. It's jqqlaw.com/contact. Or just go to our website, go to our contact page, fill in the information there, and we'll reach out to you about how to schedule a consultation. Miss Successful says, hi, why did they cancel the interview that happened in 5 months ago and reschedule 2 months? Second, I don't know. There's canceling interviews, they're rescheduling interviews, all that kind of stuff's happening. I'm not really sure what's going on with the immigration department. Cam says, how long will the immigrant visa pause be removed? I don't know. That's up to President Trump, so I have to ask him. If you haven't already, please like wherever you're watching on TikTok and share this feed so others can know that they can come here and get information about U.S. immigration and answer questions. Coffee says, my husband has a green card only, and I'm a Canadian citizen. So are our kids... Okay, so we're doing the right way. Coffee, Emil, your question got cut out, so I'm not sure what you're asking. Silver says, where can I find expected questions for adjustment of status interview? Download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. I have a 3 or 4 page samples of questions they may ask at the end of it. So go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, download the guide there. Tina asks, my spouse's H-4 application, Iranian dual national, has been in administrative processing for over a year. I'm preparing to file an NIW petition and I need to decide if to indicate consular processing. So, Tina, you're going to have problems. They're not going to, your spouse is not going to get the H4 visa application. I mean, H4, they're just not issuing that visa right now. So that's not going to happen. And if you file for NIW, technically they won't process it. You might have to sue them for it, but there's a pause on Iranian cases if you're Iranian yourself. Your husband's a dual national, so maybe they'll do it, but administrative processing, you never know. So that may not happen. But with regard to I-140 and adjustment of status, we pause. So what I typically do in these kind of scenarios, you got to get your I-140 NIW approved for. So submit an I-140 and list that you're going to do consular processing. And then once it's approved, then you really should have an attorney strategizing with it. It's not intended as individual legal guidance. You got to sit and talk. But once it's approved, you can decide if you want to do adjustment of status or go to the embassy and do it, however the situation looks like at that time. Because if you mark that you're going to do adjustment of status and it's approved and you decide to do consular processing, you're going to have to submit a form called I-824 and spend 6 months, a year and a half, maybe 2 years waiting for that case to be sent outside. But if you say I'm doing consular processing, that's your initial intent, but then you change to adjustment of status, it's faster. Now, if you do adjustment of status and then your spouse is going to do consular processing, you still got to do that I-824 form, which will take a year or two probably. So generally speaking, it's better to do consular processing, just get it done. However, if you're Iranian background, I'm not sure what's going to happen. So submit if you have a good I-140, submit it, but we don't know if the pause is going to affect it, when it's going to get approved, it's going to approve, if embassy processing is possible. Being Iranian, there's no idea what's going on. So it's just like do the basic that you know what's going on, which you can submit this case. But after that, who knows? Now, if your spouse could get the H4 and come to the U.S., it's much better. But, keep that H-1B. And if you're Iranian, and then getting extension on the H-1B is going to be a problem. So if you have more time on it, because H-1, just the government's being very difficult on Iranian cases in every single way possible. You're welcome, Von Carl. Thanks so much. And Tina, that's why I strongly recommend having an attorney that you talk with about this stuff. Even if you want to file the NIW with Chen or one of these kind of companies, you need to have an immigration that knows Iranian cases, because the big companies that do national interest waivers, I-140, they're really good at doing the I-140, but they don't understand the complexities of the individual and like the issues that pop up, how your Shenasnama, your birth certificate is going to look like, all that kind of stuff. So that's why you have a law firm like me. Okay, Miss Successful says, hi, why they can't answer your question? Silver, answer your question. How long will we answer? Okay, Coffee says, why does it say 4 years online for FA2? I think F2A. That's why it's backed up. Spouse of a green card holder case is backed up right now. Hopefully it gets faster, but that's a couple years ago I backed up like that. It's getting faster relatively, but I think it's like 2024 or something like that. I don't think it's 4 years. It's more like 2 years or something. Kak Rahman John says, I got a second interview scheduled at our first interview in Atlanta. Should I be worried about ICE? Not worried about ICE, but I'm guessing you're doing a marriage case. If you're doing a second interview, that means they doubted your relationship. So I'd be more worried about fraud being found in a relationship. So you probably, I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong, but you might have done a terrible interview. So you need to have an attorney 100% to practice with an hour or two ahead of time and to come with you at the interview, because having a second interview is like an awful indicator. That shouldn't happen. Reed said, do you see AOC word salad yesterday? I saw something on TikTok. What do you expect? Jose says, can't Venezuela still adjust through a marriage? Venezuelan cases is like Iranian cases. Right now, they're going to be paused. They can start the process for adjustment, but we don't know what's going to happen. And that's that. Tina says, thanks. You're welcome. Von Carlos, thanks so much, John. You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Jose for badge. Miss Successful for the rose. User 3 says, adjustment of status for U visa, please. How long? I'm not a U visa expert. It's going to take many, many years because it's backed up. Some say 10 years, but I don't handle U visas that regularly to answer that question. Ibrahim says, currently DQ'd and waiting for an interview. My wife's from Yemen. What would you recommend? Recommend go visit each other and have fun, because we have no idea when that case is going to move forward. Interior says 39 country ban can't apply for naturalization. No, it can't. So they incorporated the 39 country ban for embassies to USCIS cases, and they're pausing every type of case, including naturalization. And if you had an interview scheduled, they're descheduling you. Now, for that kind of case, you could potentially sue the government about it. We haven't seen that happen yet, but it's we have to wait 120 days probably. But no, all these ban stuff. It's a bad situation. CEU, we got a bunch of questions. So Yin says, when do they get to NC? I'm not sure what that means. Please rephrase your question. CE user, good to see you. Good afternoon as well. Ugana says, how long is the I-130 taking for a green card holder filing for a spouse in Nigeria? It's already been 2 years, no update. So the I-130 is taking 2 to 4 years for the I-130 to be approved. Then you got to get an embassy appointment. Nigeria is historically backed up to get an embassy appointment 1 to 2 years. And even after that, there's subject to bans right now. Nigeria is subject to a ban. And actually, Nigeria is subject to a pause right now. So your I-130, even if it was approvable, they wouldn't approve it right now based on the January 1st memo, Ugana. Actually, there was a Nigerian Facebook group I just joined, and there's 99% information was wrong in there about the travel ban. Nigerians are unfortunately hit with this USCIS memo that says all USCIS cases, including I-130, is going to be on pause. They're going to hold it. They're not going to adjudicate it. So how long is your case going to take? Under good circumstances, another 4 to 5 years. Under current circumstances, just unknown. So it's not a good position to be in, unfortunately. Now, Kay says, any hope for 39 countries? I wonder what will happen to us, who will be out of status if things don't move. I don't know. Unfortunately, nothing good. Yin Yang says, if you're a dual visa, are you in trouble with ICE, North Carolina, via Bulgaria? I'm not sure what a dual visa is, and I'm not sure what trouble you'd be in. I don't know what's going on with you. So please schedule a private consultation because the questions, I need to dig in deeper, and we can't really do that here. But we need more clarification what exactly you're asking about. Emma, thank you for sending the flowers. Kakma says, if I got denied on the second interview without criminal record, can I be detained? Yeah, if you're denied and you have not maintained status, or they deny you for marriage fraud or fraud, you get detained. Yeah, it's possible. It's not just criminal issues. In Chiri, 29 countries get up. Okay. Mom says, any update on the 75 country pause lawsuit? No updates yet. They're still going through the system. And Cherry says, I applied last August 2025. Will not schedule an interview for me. Yeah, unfortunately, they may. I don't know, but they're saying they won't. And so that's what the situation is right now. Prob says, aunt came to U.S. on an F1 as a student visa. Didn't get married. She overstayed and kids are citizens. Any path? Well, if her kids become 21, they can apply for her. And she needs to keep evidence that she entered the U.S. and that she went to school. So it wasn't like a fake student visa. But it's going to take a while. I'm not sure how old the kids are. C user says, is the government shutdown affecting processing at USCIS and consular levels now? Typically, no, because for those cases, the money for it comes from the person requesting the benefit. There are sometimes when extended background checks have to happen, and that requires like the FBI and stuff get involved, which causes delays. But the shutdowns aren't the worst for immigration, but it does clog the system somewhat. Yina says dual citizenship. Okay, so I'm not sure, Yina, what do you mean dual citizenship? Like, what does that have to do with anything? I'm not sure what's going on. Uganda says, is EB3 still an option for someone applying from Nigeria? Same situation. Whatever benefit you're going to ask for from USCIS is going to be paused if you're Nigerian, if you're Iranian, Syrian, from Sudan, all these, and a couple of many other countries. They're going to be just not going to move forward. C user says, thanks, you're welcome. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming on the show. Props. Okay, Marco says, I'm a DACA recipient. I recently renewed my renewal. Okay, you got to say the rest of your question, Marco, hopefully in one place. David says, I applied for I-130 since October 2024. Up to now, nothing. Is that normal? It's pushing the normal boundary. Next month or two, you should hear something, unless you're from a country, you're related to a travel ban country or something like that. 15 months is pushing it. 15, 16 months is like a long end. I had to go longer, but usually 12 to 14 months is the average. We got a lot of questions today. Cool. Khalil asks, if I got my green card for my husband and I'm in the U.S. now, is it safe to travel back home in the Middle East for vacation? If you got a marriage green card, not an asylum green card, and you're not associated, I can't say it's something safe because I don't know your personal background. If you have any unique issues yourself, that's problematic. So generally, if you got a marriage green card, for people, it's safe. But whether it's safe for you, I don't know because I don't know you. So I got to be careful. I'm not providing individual legal guidance here. I'm kind of just giving general kind of stuff. So that's the long and short of it. If you schedule a private consultation, we go in detail. But the primary worry is if you're a person that's like you got your green card through asylum or something like that, and you want to visit your home country, that kind of thing. C user says, always a pleasure to be at your live broadcast, attorney. Thank you so much, C user. I appreciate that. It's always good to see you. Zaida says a green card holder through marriage with an asylum clause can travel to their home country. So I wouldn't recommend it. I do have clients that are doing that, and just people who contact me that do that. But because when you file for asylum, you say you're afraid to go back to your home country. Now, if you close your case, potentially the issue that you're worried about has gone away, or something you can visit your country. But under Trump and stuff and the stuff they're doing, I know you want to see your family and stuff, but I'd be afraid. I wouldn't recommend it. But I can't say it's for 100% of your problem. I just, this administration doing stuff you never would have thought is possible. Yeah, it says if you're married and your wife is from Bulgaria on an I-131, got citizenship, did not forfeit her citizenship in Bulgaria, is she in trouble? Well, that's a Bulgarian issue. I'm not sure what it means. Wife married is from Bulgaria on I-131. I-131 is, I'm not sure what that has to do anything. But if your wife's a U.S. citizen and she didn't give up her dual citizenship in Bulgaria, that's a Bulgarian issue, whatever that country thinks. I'm not a Bulgarian immigration attorney. Yeah, so Sarah, big thumbs. I know you start typing that really well. I'm like, wait, what happened? You went from the 2-word stuff to that. But Nichelle says, if someone applied for I-539 as a change of status and USCIS is reviewing the case, but the length of stay of I-94 expires, I was advised I'm under authorized period of stay until decision will be released. You are under an authorized period of stay, but under Trump administration, that doesn't mean anything. They can still detain you and try to deport you if they want. What it does help is not accumulating what's called unlawful presence days. So if you have unlawful presence days, they're days without status, and you rack up 180 days of these, 6 months worth. If you leave the U.S., you'll be banned from coming back in for 3 years. And if you stay 365 days, you'll be banned for 10 years. Now, because you have that I-539 pending, you don't accumulate unlawful presence days. That's where the authorized period of stay is. But because you're out of status, as ICE could come pick you up if they want to take you to immigration court. Historically, they haven't done that because it's a waste of resources and it's unfair. But under this administration, you never know. David B says, thank you. You're welcome. Harper says, I found I-130 May 2024. Nothing yet. I need more information. What kind of I-130 it is. I don't know. In Cherry, 39 country ban. Can I renew my green card? I apply for N400 and I will not receive interview. I think the N400 is probably not going to happen, but I think the USCIS memo has an exception for I-90s. I got to look at it again. January 1st. So there's a policy memo. If you type in USCIS memo January 1st, it'll come up. It's a 5-page memo. And on page 4 and 5, it lists the exceptions to the hold that there is. And so I-90, the following are exceptions to the adjudication hold from I-90 application for permanent residence and N600 and 5. So there's like a list of 10 of them, and I-90 is one of them. So you can still renew your green card despite the ban. Khalil says, just worry that Trump decided to not let us back in after all these stories. Yeah, that's a worry, Khalil. That's why don't leave. I don't know. This is out of control situation. Yin says, thanks. You're welcome. Hopefully I answered your question, Yin. I know it was like we're going back and forth a lot. Sharvan says, how long does the BI take to make a decision? I don't know. It depends on how long they want. Under new rules, they could just deny the case immediately, but it just depends on how long they want to take. Michael says, came to the U.S. as a child on a visa. Parents overstayed. Child is now college grad. Any path to a green card. They should have looked to see if they could do DACA when it was available. It might come available again. But with lawful entry, it's really like, marriage to U.S. citizens, something like that. There might be some unique stuff, U visa or victims of some abuse or crimes, but it's not easy. Ryan said, John, thanks for the Q&A. You're welcome. I'm a Canadian citizen, born in Iran, in the U.S. since 2020 on L1B. Married a U.S.-born citizen June 2023. No updates. June 20, no criminal history. So your case is going to be on pause because you're born in Iran, even though you're a Canadian citizen. You fall under the pause. So, if you want to renew your L1B, that might have problems too. So the first one you probably got for 3 years, and it's 1 year, 2-year renewal after that. So hopefully you have more time on your I-94. But right now, Iranian case is just gonna be paused. That's it. Should I sue for delay? So how long it takes? What usually happens? I mean, you could sue. There are groups that are suing about this stuff. It's national security. When they say national security, it's hard to win it. But you can give it a try. But there are lawsuits as a group called Impact, Greg Siskin, and there's 2 other law firms, Huck Baxter, I think it is, and another 2 firms, one in Colorado, which I always forget their name. Not giving the recruiters do, but some of my clients have filed on it too. They have adjustment status pending on a delay. They sued on that on their situation. So you can sue in this group lawsuits. I would recommend looking into that. I would recommend actually hiring. That's not up to me. But those are the things to look at, something to think about. Jack says, husband's case is under administrative processing. His 4 months stay status just says ready. Country's Honduras. Yeah, when you get administrative processing, black hole, unfortunately, it's stuck. And Honduras may be part of the 75 country ban. Let me take a look. Oh, great, it is. And Honduras is not part of it. So when you're stuck in administrative processing, maybe wait a year and then file a lawsuit. But even then, they got really strict on these. Who knows if they're how long it'll take. You're welcome, Ryan. I wish you the best. Keep me posted. Email me if you do file a lawsuit so we can keep in touch. Zaida, you're welcome. Lily says, my husband is a U.S. citizen. I'm a DACA of 245I. How long will it take to get a green card? It depends on how busy the office is on that kind of case. So it could be as fast as 2 or 3 months. Could be 2 or 3 years. And mostly it'll be faster. When you have 245I, it's a little more confusing. And you need to document that properly. You got to make sure you actually have 245I. So definitely schedule a consultation so we could dig into your case and file it properly. But it depends on your local field office. If your case gets lost, there's a million different factors. Most of the time, right now, it'll be a couple months. Marco says, I'm a DACA recipient and recently submitted my renewal for the first time in about 10 years. So does that mean you fell out of your DACA expired and you did a renewal? Is that what you're saying? They sent me a notice to appear for my biometrics. Should I be worried? Well, with the DACA or separately, just randomly send it to you. If they're randomly sent to you, then they're probably going to have you appear in court. If it's part of DACA, then that's normal. Shina Me says, I know it varies, but what is the time frame you see for your clients to get their DACA renewal after biometrics? It's not associated with biometrics. Most DACA cases are pretty fast, 2 or 4 months. It's pretty typical. Now, if you get DACA AP, that's taking an unknown amount of time right now. It's just getting longer and longer. Ahmed says, I'm from Mauritania. I have a partial ban. Okay, what's your question? Interior says, thank you. You're welcome. Charvain, it's 4 years. Charvain, I don't remember what your question was originally. I can't find the original question. Sorry, put the whole thing in one block, Charbon. Mike says, if I have a 10-year green card, how often can I travel outside the U.S.? As much as you want. You just shouldn't be living outside the United States for extended periods of time. Or just not be living outside the U.S. or be outside for extended periods of time. 4 or 5 months constantly, more than 6 months, more than a year. That's the general idea there. But you should really look into getting citizenship. All right, everybody, we're about to wrap up the show. I'll take a couple more questions. Paul asks, going through a divorce, sorry about that, with my American citizen husband and going to apply for removal conditions. Could I travel while waiting for a decision? You technically can. You got to make sure you have a really solid case. There's always a worry about stuff like that. I have a lot of videos on this, Paulie. Please check it out on my YouTube page and schedule a consultation. Technically, you're allowed to travel when you submit, you get a receipt notice, acts as an automatic extension. But it just, don't travel if you don't need to. Every time you leave, you have an interaction with a government authority, and you never know. You probably 99% would be okay, but you see, when people interact with the government, you never know how the government's going to act. It's like dealing with the dog. Most dogs, you pet them, they're nice, then one of them just bites you. So that's why the less interaction with the government, the better. I wonder if... Shine says, thank you for reading my question. You're welcome. Lucky says, my girlfriend's on a 4-month A2 visa. Can there be a change of status to get married? A2 visa is like a diplomat visa. You can do adjustment of status. You have to note that you have to submit additional paperwork to remove the diplomatic protections, but it is possible. Please schedule a consultation. Download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Then schedule a private consultation. All right, we got a lot of questions. I got to get them done in a minute. Let's see how fast I can go. Ahmed says, I applied for I-75, I wanted N400. I'm from Mauritania. I have partial ban. They received my case July 13. When should I expect my interview? When you should expect your interview, it just depends on how, aside from the ban, it depends on your local office and how backed up they are and all that kind of stuff. However, if Mauritania falls within the, which it probably does, but I haven't checked, within the January 1st USIS memo, they're just going to sit on your case and not schedule an interview for now. Akuso says, John, if I have a family member has 4 years green card, still married, and have applied for their citizenship down with biometrics, how long would it take for them to have a citizenship interview? Again, citizenship interviews depend on your local office and how busy they are at any time. So sometimes they're not busy, they're working fast, it's longer. Some offices prioritize like I-751 cases, they take less than 400. It's really a more practical logistics kind of thing. It's not something I could just say, all of America, this is the rule. It just varies dramatically. SJJJJ said, do you have any experience with helping clients use 1447B if they get no decision after naturalization 120 days? What is 1447B? Is that the lawsuit for a delay? Let me see. I don't do lawsuits, so let me look up for his hearing and denials. We don't do lawsuits at our firm, so I don't have experience in that field. But, it's pretty open and shut. Probably should do these cases. They're going to be needed a lot now. But I don't feel like getting them off federal court. I have colleagues that do that kind of stuff. You're welcome, Akuso. And Lily asked, he's a U.S. citizen. I'm Canadian citizen. Does it make a difference in process if you get married in U.S. or Canada? The location of the marriage doesn't matter. It's through the process that makes a difference if you do it in the U.S. or through the embassy. Now, if you're coming to U.S. to get married, sometimes the officer at the airport or border will be afraid that you're going to come and stay and not leave. So that coming to U.S. to get married, if they ask you and you tell them that, they may cause them to deny your entry. So that does exist. And you're born in Iran, they may just say, we don't want you to come in. Now, you're a woman, less chances of that happening. You don't have potential military service record, that kind of thing. But it's a new world we're living in. Hey, it's Marjane says, do you deal with harassment at workplace or people on H-1B? No, you should look at an employment lawyer for that, not an immigration lawyer. And Cheery says, what do you think about this ban? Well, it's a terrible thing, but what end? We need hope. Yeah, fortunately, I don't have any hope to write on that. Just President Trump, whatever the administration wants to do. And so far, it seems like they just want to go to war and kill people and chop people down. It seems like that's the MO right now. Ahmed said, do you think they'll freeze my case because of the memo? Yeah, most likely. Most likely it's been on hold, unfortunately. All right, everybody. Oh, we got 22,500 likes. We got a lot of people watching on YouTube more than ever, live watching the live show. That's awesome. Thank you for joining. We're about to leave right now. If you want to schedule a private consultation, go to jqqlaw.com, our website /contact, or just click on the contact page and download our ultimate marriage green card guide. And if you don't have a marriage green card, see what kind of free information we're putting out there. It's unbelievable. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. It's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Download the guide. Paya says, my asylum individual hearing is on May 2027. I have VAWA pending. Should I withdraw my asylum? No, you shouldn't withdraw asylum until the underlying case is like solid or you got your green card. But I don't do VAWA or asylum cases, so I don't recommend every consulting attorney that does that. But until you got something official in your hand, don't get rid of your asylum interview. Hold on to that with your life. All right, everyone. God bless. Be safe. We'll be back next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take your questions live about U.S. immigration. God bless. Be safe. I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.